what about Christian rap music? Number one, does it strike a balance in the content it delivers as far as keeping God at the forefront while discussing at the same time real life situations? Or would you say that is merely a fairy tale in nature? We're going to start with you this time, Cam.
Um, I'll say I haven't listened to enough Christian rap music to have a wide body of discussion on. But I would say, if going back to the original, if we're talking about rap, rhyming patterns, rhyming schemes, if we're just talking about rap and rhyming lyrics, obviously any type of rap that has people that can effectively put schemes and patterns together is going to be considered rap. Now the content wise, if because what we end up doing, we end up comparing the content of somebody who's a professed Christian who's rapping about a changed life now in comparison to somebody who is still rapping about stuff that the world wants to glorify. A Christian rapper is never going to be on the same level, same equality as somebody who's rapping about guns, drugs, housing, things of that nature. And so basically, what it comes down to a comparison of the content. But if we're just talking about raps and lyric, man, it's the same thing. But obviously, the difference is when we start comparing what they're talking about.
All right, Ron, I'm going to go to you next.
Well, as for the person that would say, I guess, I might as well listen to a fairy tale, I guess my response would be, well, who are you listening to? There are plenty of good, I would say good Christian rappers who do, who are great at what they do. I was telling Key about one that I like to listen to. His name is Andy Mineo. I mean, what I'm looking for when I'm listening to rap music, of course, I want a nice beat, something that I can vibe to. And then, of course, I'm into the lyrics, so just, what story are you telling? I mean, Andy Mineo does a great job of actually, voicing some of the concerns that were brought up in the early hip hop days, talking about how he used to, look at life, his outlook, but how things changed when he learned better. And I mean, that's not a fairy tale. I mean, right? We all have a past. We can talk about how we were, the things we listened to, the things we like to do. And just imagine, putting that in song and saying, okay, here's where I was, and here's where I am now. There's nothing fairy tale-ish about it, So that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, I like that, man. I thought something similar, but you got to put it out there for the people. All right, Key, want to go to you this time.
I think that it's the statement Christian rapper is what throws people off. Because if you're going to say, is this person a member of the New Testament Church of the Lord Jesus Christ? So I think that's where they start from and where the misconception comes in at. As a Christian, if I rap, that means I'm going to do content that is approvable and appropriate in the sight of God. So that's where I get mixed up when people say that. They say, oh, this person is a Christian rapper, they're a Christian artist. Well, if you're going to be a Christian, I should say this, my music will reflect my belief. And that's what we need to look at it. And again, if there's somebody they're claiming that they know God and their music is reflecting that, hey, they believe in God, who am I to tell that person that they can't do said thing? Now, again, if we look back at the PureFlix comment, can it be that they have a misunderstanding? Yes. Have you, as the person who went back and listened to that person and have reached out to that person and said, well, you know what, I heard you say this in your song, but this is what the Bible actually says about that. Can we, right, where there's an opportunity where something like that can happen. Like I said, it's easier to just say don't do it and don't fool with it instead of taking the time out to try to correct somebody the appropriate way, having that moment like pulling a young person to the side to say, to explain or expound to them better about what it means. But again, when it comes to a Christian rapper, if it comes to Christian music, like I said, I have to clarify them like that. Like I said, Key Ford does music. I'm not a Christian producer. I'm a producer that I'm a Christian that I'm not a Christian. When I didn't say that right, I'm not a I'm a producer who is a Christian, or either way, whichever way you want to say it. I'm a Christian that produces music. So therefore, my content shows the content of what I produce is not going to be something that'll be defiled or that's going to be not right before the sight of God.
Right.
Because
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
So there's one last thing. I love the fact there's a band that I listen to, 21 Pilots. I'm pretty sure all y'all know who 21 Pilots are. Those guys make fantastic music, like fantastic. I'm talking about great music from like their first albums, Radio, to the Heathen songs they did for the Suicide Squad soundtrack, to my song Level of Concern. Like, and they're people who profess to be Christians, but again, I don't know if they're New Testament Christians. But guess what? Their music reflects what they're saying. That hey, that I'm like you don't hear anything vulgar. You don't hear anything about any cursing or anything like that. So can you find somebody to play music like that? Yes, you can. Straight hard rapper. A guy named NF. Man, he's like very lyrical. Like he gets busy and never uses a cuss word. So again, if somebody claims that they have a relationship with God, instead of just knocking it down, let us if we have a chance to utilize the moment to try to reach people, let's do that.
Love it, man. Talima, what do you got on that question?
I mean, speaking of fairy tales, before I became a Christian, the types of rap music I listened to, listen to Pac, Dre, Eminem, and so that Super Bowl was again a trip down memory lane. It was like, oh wow, so they finally have them on the Super Bowl. But when I became a Christian, there's still a little bit of world in me. You understand that, right? That you don't completely become mature overnight, and so I caught myself, hey, I can't be listening to these type of lyrics anymore, right? And so, to me, the easy transition was I'll just look for Christian rap music, right? And that was the alternative. And so I switched to Lecrae. You guys mentioned Lecrae, and I listened to his lyrics, and I say, man, is this guy not near to the kingdom or what? Because a lot of the things he says in his music are biblical, right? And so it's not a fairy tale. I know several other people who are Christians, but music helped them through, difficult and challenging times where when you don't have someone there to talk with, a certain song, like for example, I know one of my friends, a song called "Down" by Lecrae really resonated with him throughout the pandemic because that was his thing. He was going through a difficult time in his life, and the song helped him just to keep on and holding on to his faith. Now, that's what happens to Christians. Like sometimes we immediately dismiss things like this and say, well, you just need to study your Bible. I'm for the studying of the Bible, but there are times when people don't feel like studying their Bible, and there's something else that could help them get there. And so for my friend, that was this song. He resonated with his life experience, and it helped him get to the point where, yeah, I need to study my Bible again. Right? And so it's not a fairy tale.
Love it, man. Love it. Go ahead.
Dan, somebody mentioned earlier about what gets highlighted most of the time as far as what's on the countdowns and what's on the billboards is the rap music, with all of the negative content, all of the stuff that we disagree with as far as this is how we should live. But man, I mean, there are some songs, and those are the songs that like, man, how you gonna dismiss Dear Mama by Pac? You know what I'm saying? Like, man, if an honest person sat down in the room and just listen, I mean, just unbiased and listen, and was like, man, all he doing is talking about he's just so thankful for his mother, for the sacrifices that she made, even though it does have a couple of cuss words in it. It's like overall, he's talking about this is a tribute letter to his mother. And I say that because a couple months ago, you can look it up on YouTube. 3 or 4 white guys, they were sitting down in the studio, and somebody said, y'all should hear this song by Lil Baby. And I don't remember the title of the song, but it was a song that he wrote during the Black Lives Matter movement, and it was just based on all of the stuff that was going on, with Black Lives Matter, the stuff that was going on with police officers. And so you have these 3 or 4 guys sitting there analyzing this song by Lil Baby, and they are just blown away by his ability to deliver on the content of the subject matter of what was going on in the world. And they was just like, man, this is awesome.
I think the song that you were alluding to, Cameron, was The Bigger Picture by Lil Baby, that he released during the Black Lives Matter movement. And yeah, I have to agree, man. It was he was telling a bigger story, and I mean, I guess hence the title, right? But I mean, are there anyone else want to add anything to that question before we move on? All right, let's move to the next one. So, in your opinion, has rap music enhanced the learning and communication of our culture or hindered it? And I think, of course, you got people on both sides of that, but I'm curious of your take on it. I mean, what do you think? Has rap music enhanced the learning and communication of our culture, or has it hindered it? And Cam, we'll start with you on this one.
Okay, so when you think about that question, when we say our culture, are we talking about human culture, or are we talking about the culture of different ethnic groups, different races? So if we're saying human culture, right? If we're saying that, if we're asking the question that has rap enhanced or denigrated, the human culture, in a lot of ways, rap has enhanced the culture from different vantage points. Number one, there's a lot of people have made a lot of money, and a lot of money that has gone back into the communities for things that were non-rap related. And I'll give you an example. Was it 2019? Nipsey Hussle got killed, famous rapper in LA. And you look at Nipsey Hussle, gang member, rapper, producer. A lot of people don't even know, man, that what Nipsey was doing, he was using his money that he was making from rap, the sale of his albums. He was putting money back into STEM research, STEM schools for inner city kids. So, a lot of times we just look at the rap. And you say, oh man, they degrading women, and they promoting drugs and gun violence and gang violence. But man, the truth of the matter is, a lot of those artists, man, they are evolving in their life as well. And they're thinking about people outside of rap. They're thinking about children and women and things of that nature. And they give back to organizations that we never hear about. And so I would say that rap has enhanced things in our culture in a lot of ways, because if you could take, if Jay-Z, who used to sell drugs, can get out of that lifestyle, become a mogul, all of the different contracts and different things that he's made money off of, and give money to organizations to help build schools in other countries and give water and to, just upbuild people's lives, you got to say, in a sense, that it has enhanced. Now, will we say that it's also denigrated? Yeah, because of content. So, you have to kind of find a balance as to, are these guys really helping our culture or hindering our culture? But here's the thing, at the end of the day, for us as Christians, these men and women are not Christians. They need to be taught the gospel. And so when we talk about, them in the world, from a world vantage point, man, they're looked at as heroes because, as we always say, they're not out here killing people, they're not out here doing things that, that's going to take away from their value. And so when you look at these guys, when they get to a certain threshold in their own lives, man, they stop talking about a lot of their stuff. They stop dealing with a lot of their stuff, man, because they recognize they're trying to move further and higher in life. And so, we can see that, and we can understand that, there's leverage on both sides. So with the content that, that talks about women, calling them bees and stuff like that, obviously we definitely disagree with that. We disagree with promoting gang lifestyle, killing, drugs, and all those things that are sinful. but we can't just say that it has not helped many people in many ways.
All right, Key.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I got these headphones on too. So I'm trying to hear. I make sure I can hear everything. I would say only way that it has hindered is the content, the changing of the content. As I stated earlier, when you look at what it was about. Now, because when you look at music, there are different ways they classify hip hop and rap music. Like if you got hip hop, or if you got lo-fi, you got boom bap is what they call it, like in New York, a drum and a snare. So it just takes it back to whatever what type of hip hop we talking about, what type of rap are we talking about. But then when you go too far, as I stated, you get into the drill stuff, like in Chicago, a lot of that's what they're talking about. It's all about killing and catching a body and all that stuff that they say. And the reason I even know about it, I'll just say a quick story. Before I became a therapist, I still worked for the same company, but I was doing care management. And I used to have to go to Memphis like 2 times a month. And I would drive down and I'd take kids to residential facilities. And all these kids, they would be mumbling rap music. Like it's like all these lyrics. So in that instance, I do agree with certain of the lyrics have been just terrible, especially for our youth, especially because that's what they saturate their minds in. They're not listening to positive stuff. Like I said, when I came up, I was listening to 3 6 Mafia. Now I'm not saying that was positive, and was listening to like stuff Master P. But I remember being the person who was looking at these artists like, man, this could be us one day. This is what we want to do. But I look at the good that they've done too. Nobody can look at Master P and say, well, Master P ain't doing, Master P just a thug. No, he's not a thug. He is a person who is a mogul who has made some of everything, all types of products. But again, I look at also where they came from. I don't know if any of you have ever been down to Louisiana, to the Ninth Ward and all that stuff. I've been down though. My brother, he's like a brother to me. His Lewis, his rap name was Rob Gold when he was rapping. We used to go down to New Orleans all the time. He had a friend named Trey 8 who was signed to Master P. Trey 8, he's dead now. Was a cool producer, cool rapper. And I remember the first time I went down to the Ninth Ward. You talk about somebody was scared. You had kids who were walking around with AK-47s, were shooting 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds on ecstasy, smoking weed, crystal meth, cocaine. And so now it helps me to if I hear some of that music, guess what? I know what they're going through because that's what they put in their music. And so again, when it gets past that lifestyle, when it's just you're doing it just to glorify something, like that's when again it becomes a problem. So I could definitely see some of the music now, but I'm not gonna just pin it on all rap music because I tell you, you go and listen to something like, and even though it's gonna hurt my heart to say it, I'm a huge Pharrell Williams fan. But you go out and listen to some of that NERD. They have a song called Lucky. The lyrics of the song say, she's up all night to get some. I'm up all night to get some. We're some to get lucky. And kids, it's Kids Bop. The Kids Bop even made it to a song. So it's kids going around singing it. So is that not as bad as, or is that clean compared to the drill music? No, it's all, it's, again, it goes back to the content. Now, Pharrell is the same person who also made Happy, one of my favorite songs, a song that's just about what the title says, being happy. So, because I received backlash from doing music when I went to the school of preaching, I actually had a guy who put out some music, and I remember thinking I'm gonna get kicked out of the school of preaching because man, they either put out some old music I did that I produced, and I remember going to Brother Liddell, and Brother Liddell said, "Well, brother, just give me some of the check, and we'll be all right." And, he was like, "Brother, don't worry." He's like, "Brother, don't worry about that. That was in the past. Everybody has a past. Everybody's done X, Y, and Z." So I just remember, man, I thought I just knew I was gonna get kicked out. I thought that was gonna be a short stay at MSOP.
I love it, man. Hey, Ron, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I was going to say overall, you could say, the rap music, has helped, I would say culture overall, human culture. This was mentioned a moment ago. You think about how much this genre of music has influence. You think about some of those artists. Key actually mentioned it. He kind of, took the words, right out of my mouth. He mentioned Master P. That's the first person that I think of. Uh, he's got a nickname. They call him the Black Bill Gates. So here's a man, from the Ninth Ward, coming from an impoverished, situation, talking about some of the things that was going on in his neighborhood that was happening around. Now, of course, if you're listening to the story that he's telling, you're not always going to agree with everything that he's saying. But like he was saying, if you've ever been there, if you've ever, and I've been to the Ninth Ward, and Key, I would say, yeah, you talk about being afraid, like, yo, where are we at? War zone. He is not kidding. He's serious. And, that's having been to the south side, west side of Chicago, okay? There's some parts of the Ninth Ward that's just like, it's terrifying. But, you can understand, again, where those lyrics are coming from, what he's talking about. And then you look at what he's doing now, and a lot of artists, they had a certain message, they had a certain story to tell in the beginning, they reached a certain level of success. And then again, this is the part that's generally not talked about. Them taking those dollars, taking that revenue that they receive and pouring that back into the community, to help people like that. So I would say overall, it's helped. Again, like Cameron has alluded to, and like Key has alluded to, there's certain lyrics, certain content where you can say, okay, right, this lyric right here, it's hurting us. Think about, how our women are dressed, right? That's the number one thing that I hear. Okay, well, yeah, see, this is where the music is hurting your culture, because it seems like, you're degrading your women, you're not uplifting them. It seems, here's where it's hurting the culture, because you call a person by this name or that name. So we get it. Yes, from a standpoint of content, you can see where it's hindered a little bit. But overall, you'd have to say it has had a positive effect.
Talima, what do you think?
I think I agree with what everyone's been saying about in terms of content. Some of the content does not enhance the culture, but I want to highlight the fact that it exists, and that's where I'm coming from in regards to enhancement. There's hip hop, right? It's another way of doing music, and that's an enhancement of itself. It exists. And speaking in Samoa, I remember, so I'm a 90s baby. So in the 90s, I've never seen or heard of a Samoan rapper. Like, even locally, there weren't any local artists rapping in Samoan language. And so a couple of years into high school, this one song was released, and it was the first time, at least for me, I've heard Samoan rapping, and it was good, and everybody was like, wow, that's gonna go off. And you fast forward to today, you got these high school kids that they want to do that. And they're rapping in Samoan, yeah, from that point of view, I look at it. It has enhanced. It's cross culture already. It's worldwide. Almost every race has rap, as part of their culture, right? Even though there are some within that may not like it, that don't like hip hop and so on, but there's like, for example, in the white communities, Eminem, you go across culture, you'll find rap. And so in that sense, it has enhanced human culture. It's another way of doing music. A lot of the comments I hear from some of the people I talked to about the Super Bowl halftime show, a lot of people were saying to me, you know what, that was actually the one halftime show that resonated with everyone. It's not just Black people, everyone. because I don't know, I love hip hop music, and so in that sense, it has enhanced the culture. It's another way of doing music.
Hey, love it, man. And
Hey,
Cam, you
hey,
want to say
Daniel.
something? Yeah.
I would just say, it's, it seemed like, if we get to the bigger issue at hand, it seemed like everything else gets handled, it becomes a black and white issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, the reason why people feel like it's so negative and so derogative is because, it's black and it's thuggish and it's thugs. Where on this side or this end of the spectrum, if it ain't white, it ain't right, so to speak. But think about it, man. Like Lima just mentioned, like, okay, Eminem is white, Machine Gun Kelly is white, Yellow Wolf is white. I mean, and if we really honest, if you go back far enough, one of the founding fathers of Def Jam, white. So it's just like, man, if we're gonna be fair, and I think this whole conversation we all been alluding to, when you look at just this one genre of music, I mean, just be fair. I mean, if you're gonna criticize it, just be fair in your criticism and say, everything they're talking about exists in every aspect of music, every form of entertainment, and be fair about it. And so if you're gonna dismiss this, you got to dismiss everything. But obviously, 1 Corinthians chapter 5, Paul showed us, man, you know what, we can't just, man, if we want to just be totally removed from sinners, man, we had to move off this planet. And so our responsibilities to not only rap, but anything that influences or affects us, as children of God, is to be able to, as the old saying, man, you got to know how to, be able to discern between good and evil, and know, what you're listening to. Is it bad? Is it good? And so you have to make, Lima mentioned earlier, you have to make some of those own decisions in your own life as a Christian.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree more. Anyone else want to add to that before we hit this last question?
Yeah, I want to point out one quick thing. It's something that is transitioning music. The sound of the 808. If you do your Googles about the 808 sound, now that sound has become popular in every genre of music. I'm talking about you got folks riding around in pickup truck sound with some, it's like you got 15s in the back because of how the music is produced now. So it's all that undertone. It's the it's the culture, man. It's the culture has definitely influenced a lot, and I don't think it's a negative thing. When you go back and look at, there's a YouTube video where Ray Charles talks about Elvis Presley, and it just blows my mind that we still doing the same thing today that Ray Charles was saying. Now, when Ray Charles was doing his singing, it was the devil's music. It was, it was not considered right. But then what happened when Elvis came out? They was falling out. Oh, he's the best thing ever. You even look back at Chuck Berry. I know anybody seen the Cadillac Records movie, but then you go back and do a little more digging. There was an actual Howling Wolf museum in the city where I was born in West Point. That the story of Howling Wolf, where my studio is, he stayed in a little shed that's literally our studio was out in the country in a place called White Station. Across in the field is his house. It's like a little shed that's still in the same spot. They talk about how he grew up in the White Station area, and how, it was only, he could only play guitar in certain white places in white. And of course, it was, like I said, it was called White Station. He could only play for certain quote unquote white people who wanted him to be in that area. But then when he got so good, guess what? Then everybody else started coming in. So it's one of those things where it's our culture has definitely influenced music for the good, and but some may say it even for the negative. Now, certain lyrics, I would have to agree on certain things. I say this as a joke. Well, I'm probably not as a joke. I'm probably being for real. Of course, I don't wish death on anybody, but I'm like, if I had to choose between Lil Nas X, can we have Michael Jackson or Tupac or somebody back, or Prince, and take that music away? Because it's stuff like that it's the music like that we get blamed for. Like Like this, see, this is what you're doing. You guys promote homosexuality, this, that, and that. When again, that's not, you can't say that about all rap.
He couldn't have said it better myself, man. It's hey, I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, guys. I mean, it's I've learned a lot. Of course, I'm the youngest person on the podcast right now. I'm 24, turn 25 next month. So I think this is some valuable information, not only for myself, but for everyone that's listening. Of course, the podcast is tailored more for emerging and young adults. So of course, a lot of the stuff is very, very applicable to today because we have those sort of mainstream artists that don't, to be frank, don't put out the great content that maybe you guys heard and people before you. So we don't, one thing I hate doing is raising an issue without at least providing a solution or providing a path to a solution. And that's what I want to try to do to wrap this conversation up. In your opinion, and we're just going to go around to each person again. In your opinion, what is the solution to this issue regarding rap music? And what practical advice would you give to the Christian emerging and young adults today? We're going to start with you, Ron.
I would say be unbiased and unhypocritical in your positions. And that's kind of been floating back, this entire conversation, right? That's the solution. You're going to be outraged about certain things that's mentioned in one genre of music. Be outraged about those things in another genre of music, right? Cam alluded to something earlier, and I love the way he worded that. He said, man, there's a difference between listening and hearing, right? We hear everything. So we hear lots of things, but listening, the things that you actually internalize. So again, the solution to the problem, and like I said, again, be unbiased, be unhypocritical, listen to the message. Try to listen to what a song is actually saying. This was mentioned earlier. You can find an edited version of the song. Do that. That's all I have to say as far. Well, let me add one more thing. Maybe it'll help if we start rapping our hymns. That might fix it, y'all. I'm just saying we can start rapping the hymnals. You know what I'm saying? I think that'll fix it.
I wasn't expecting that one, man. That was good. All right, there you go. There you have it, man. All right, Key, we're gonna go with you, man. What's your take on that question?
Man, mine's gonna be simple and sweet, man. If you don't like it, don't listen to it. That's what I do. If I don't, I have a wide variety of tastes in music. So you're gonna find if you ride with me, you got to be ready to ride because I'm gonna take you on a journey. Then you got to do the video as we drive because I get into my music. So if you're gonna ride 4 hours, 5 hours with me, you got to be a good wingman because it's gonna be some rap, it's gonna be some rock, it's gonna be some country, it's gonna be some of everything because I like music and that's the stuff that keeps me relevant and when I produce because my productions are not just strictly one genre, but like I said, I'm not big on metal, hip hop. I mean, I'm rock and metal, but guess what? I don't go boycotting and let everybody know my distaste for it. If I don't listen to it, I just don't listen to it. Like I said, I'm not gonna be that person because if that's the way a person expresses themselves in their art, through metal, man, you have rock on. Now, will I give it a try? I'll give it a try, but if it's not my taste, it's not my taste.
Hey, love it, man. Talima, what's your take on it?
Well, there's a difference between self-righteous judgment and righteous judgment, right? And so sometimes people make judgment towards rap out of a self-righteous attitude or motive. I want to show everybody how right I am because I dislike certain type of music. In regards to like advice for like young people coming up, from my experience, it's a matter of your judgment, as has been said. Grow in spiritual maturity to be able to use that wisdom, the biblical wisdom, to exercise discernment and it'll be okay, no matter if it's movies, no matter if it's music, no matter what it is. If you can exercise proper discernment, you should be in good standing, and don't allow the self-righteous judgment keep you cooped up in your own little bubble, right? Because that's how I felt, way back when I first transitioned as a Christian. I wasn't very comfortable sharing my love and appreciation for hip hop because because I feel people are preconditioned to view that negatively. Right? So don't feel like that. There are people who are like you who love hip hop and enjoy it. Um, just don't let the self righteous judgments keep you from you know from expressing what you like and just being you as a person.
Hey, love it, man. Cam, what's your take?
Also, the only thing I would say is that, man, we're always pressing the issue about, education, So I would say, man, educate yourselves. And what I mean by that is, for the new Christian, the emerging young person, know God first, know his word first, get a thorough understanding of who God is, his will, read the Bible, study the Bible. If you're not a Christian, become a Christian, be educated about God and his will first, know that. But then also, be educated about the music that you're going to listen to. And the reason I say that, I remember growing up, man, I remember, specifically, we was talking about the halftime show with Dr. Dre. I remember when Dr. Dre and Snoop first came out, and his symbol was the chronic, the green leaf, and the album cover had the parental advisory over it. And so, that sticker alone, let my parents know and let me know that, it's some lyrical content in here that's probably not age appropriate. So my point is that, you have to be educated about the stuff that you're going to allow, your mind to process. So you have to educate yourself about that. Once you find out what you're listening to, man, it becomes easy to decipher what you will or will not listen to. And last but not least, man, I would just say, for people who are critics, even some of our brethren, about rap music solely, the warning still is true. When Jesus says in John 7:24, judge not, based on appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Man, how are you going to make a righteous judgment if you just write everything off, like we mentioned earlier about one cuss word or one thing you disagree with without listening to the whole thing? Listen to the whole thing, get a bigger picture, then make a final assessment. And so, I just think it was, it was kind of messed up that, it took the halftime of the Super Bowl to kind of bring this issue up. And I remember Key and I, we was talking about it, a couple of days later. And I was like, we're going to dismiss, rap music and the artists who perform as thugs. But, just by way of example, what about all the other stuff that's going on in the NFL that's going on right now? Nobody's talking about, the systemic racism, throwing games and, ignoring the Rooney Rule. So it's just like, man, it's like, let's not, be one-sided, as Ron mentioned, let's not be unjust and hypocritical when we make these criticisms. So,
Man, look, I thank you guys so much. Number one, I gotta say thank you. And this conversation was absolutely necessary. And I think first and foremost for my age group, the people who are questioning, I believe young adults are perhaps in the most difficult situation in life because they're on that bridge, man. They're leaving home. They're trying to make these tough decisions based off the knowledge that they do have and whatever sort of resources they possess. And it can get a little bit confusing, and it can get a little bit it can be a bit bewildering when you step out into the world and try to figure out which way is the correct way. And so this avenue for music, man, is a big one. I think it has definitely helped. So anyone want to add anything before we head out? All right. Well, Talima, Cam, Ron, and Key, you guys, y'all did it, man. We made this episode. I'm looking forward to the reviews of it. I'm looking forward to checking it out too. And so if you guys, I know that Talima mentioned that he had a podcast, and I know that Key mentioned that he had a podcast as well. If you guys just don't mind just sort of reiterating that, because I try to, I want to promote your stuff too, so people can go and check that out. So Talima, if you don't mind, just reiterating the name of your podcast, where it's found.
Yeah, so with the Scattered Abroad Network, and podcast is called Ohana, and it's a focus on the family. And I also do a sort of like a hobby of mine. I like to design T-shirts. I'm actually wearing one of those T-shirts. It says "God is good" right there, and it's my version of a conversation starter. When I'm out in the public, people see it and then they engage with me and they say "nice shirt," and I talk to them about it. And you can see all of that on truthandtees.com that's where I sell the designs that I make.
Okay, cool. Key, you mind just reiterating your podcast and where it's found?
Mine is also found on the Scattered Abroad Network, Mental Health Wealth. Like I said, the first two episodes is the introduction. The second episode is dealing with anxiety. So that's a real big issue that a lot of people have today. It's offer some real good practical advice. And again, I warn on every episode, if you are having any of these symptoms, this is not for me to diagnose you. This is to encourage people to go and seek the help, but to bring it to the forefront of their minds to say, man, hey, there's a problem and I need to get this checked out. So it's going to be several more episodes. We're going to deal with anxiety, depression, communication. We're going to deal with some relaxation techniques, some CBT, some cognitive behavior therapy. We're going to deal with trauma. We're going to deal with it's a lot of different topics we're going to be dealing with. So I look forward to just bringing it in an informal way to just bring people up to speed on those things. And as I stated, also addiction. That we're definitely going to cover pornography and what happens with the brain, and also the social media and things like that. So it's going to be a variety of topics. If you've never heard of this guy, it's a guy named Cal Newport. He wrote a book called Digital Minimalism. I recommend this book to everybody who I talk to who wants to know about mental health, and when it comes to media and stuff that we watch, like the amount of time we spend on media and all that technology. It's a great book, and he talks about how the fact that in the next 5-6 years, social media is going to come with a warning, like a pack of cigarettes, of what it can cause. So those are the things that I want to be aware. I want to help bring awareness to inside the Lord's church, and also just with people who I come interact with on my practice daily. So Lord willing, I'll be licensed soon.
It sounds good, man. Well, look, Cam, you want to add something?
No, I was just gonna say, man, number one, man, first of all, man, I thank all y'all. Good seeing y'all again and hear y'all, man. And I think all y'all did a great job answering the question. But Talima mentioned something about his shirts. I didn't catch the name of the website. And if he could mention again, and is that, will he ship? If he just mentioned again, I didn't catch it.
Yeah, it's called truthandtees.com, and I ship mainly to the United States and Hawaii.
Okay. Hey, Talima, I'll tell you what it helped too, man. If you would just type it in the chat so we can know how to spell it and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that'd be helpful. But either way, everything that was mentioned tonight, sources, songs, artists, all of that will be mentioned in the show notes. So for everybody who wants to learn a little bit more about it. So again, hey, thank you guys. I think you're highly qualified to talk about it, and it was a really good conversation. And look forward to the release of it, man. And I think it's going to do a lot of good. So hopefully it'll serve as a launching pad for people who want to dive a little bit more into this genre of music, and hopefully give them a balanced perspective on it. So thank you guys so much again, man. I appreciate it.